A gloomy statistics of 91 million Nigerians living in extreme starvation, according to the FAO 2014 survey, leaves one in a very depressing trend. What's the redemption plan for these Nigerians? Recently, the United Nations Children Education Fund raised the yellow flag that 400,000 Nigerians could die of hunger if nothing is done to stem this tide. In a bid to address the challenge of food security in the nation, the federal government rolls out the Anchor Borrowers Program for Nigerian farmers, with the Bank of Agriculture playing a central role. What are the requirements for accessing the loans? How many farmers have benefited from the credit scheme? And what is the structure for repayment of loans? Does the Bank of Agriculture have enough capital base to bankroll this scheme? It's question time. Welcome to the program. I'm Benga Ashiru. You may also join in this conversation by sending us a comment on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. In trying to put the federal government food security intervention plan into perspective, we caught up with the managing director of the Bank of Agriculture, Professor Danbala Danju. We began by asking him the role of the Bank of Agriculture in addressing food security in the country.
The Bank of Agriculture is the institution, affects institution in Nigeria that is charged with financing agricultural activities across the value chain. In addition to that, we also partner with strategic partners like in the private sector. For example, we also work with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to finance the private sector-led agricultural mechanization program. We work with the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs to support youth in agriculture. We work with Ministry of Women Affairs in order to support women going into agriculture. We work with, if you like, private sector organizations to discuss strategies and the way forward to develop agriculture, like the private sector-led consortium of agribusiness firms, the Nigeria Agribusiness Group. We work with the National Sugar Council, for example, to finance the development of sugar. We also work with the Cassava Growers Association in terms of providing high-quality cassava flour. We work with the cassava, if you like, millers, the Flour Mills Association, to provide high-quality cassava flour.
Now, food security is one big issue, one major challenge in the country. And how much of mandate does the Bank of Agriculture has in promoting food security in the country?
Bank of Agriculture has been partnering, like I've mentioned above, with several institutions, both in at the level of the federal government as well as the state government. We've been supporting farmers across the value chains to ensure increased production of food. Now, there is, if you like, what they call macroeconomic conditions that must be met. For example, you must have your prices right. Farmers need to be incentivized. They need to be given the right support in order to produce food. They need to have the right technology. You need to have access to land. These are all macroeconomic, or if you like, enabling conditions. But there are also specific micro interventions that are needed in order to produce the right quantity of food and ensure that it is also distributed to those areas. The challenges of meeting Nigeria's food security are vast. It calls for, if you like, a multifaceted effort. It's not just a question of financing. It's a question of the macroeconomic conditions that I mentioned, as well as the microeconomic interventions that are needed. All in all, as the bank, we do finance small farmers, large-scale farmers. We do support them to acquire high-quality inputs that are in line with what they want to produce. Specifically, of recent, we've been engaged in the CBN Anchor Borrower Program, through which we have supported more than 113,000 families we disbursed about 20.3 billion naira for the production coverage of, if you like, paddy rice, soybeans, maize, as well as cotton, covering over 140,000 hectares of land. Now, they have produced more than 810,000 metric tons.
You talked about the Anchors Borrowers Program, which perhaps is the biggest innovation and initiative of the federal government and the agri sector. And you also talked about you having been able to reach out to about 113,000 farmers. So what is the selection process? Tell us how this is being arranged. How is it open to all farmers? What is the selection process like?
This is an excellent question. First of all, the Bank of Agriculture works hand in hand with the Central Bank of Nigeria, as well as the various states, the participating states who have to indicate interest, and if you like, input providers, and the farmers themselves or their representatives. Now, there is in each state a project monitoring team which identifies the crop to be produced, identifies the economics of the production. They identify the per hectare budget. For example, in Kebbi, we had a per hectare budget of production of rice of about 210,000 naira per hectare. The list of farmers is given to the bank and is baited. All farmers must have a bank verification number. They have to have their addresses. They must also be in a cluster.